Hi, Deanne. Thanks
Hey,
so much. We're taking a look at self seeds. I love it. I appreciate it. And there's 11 seeds. So I'm inviting you to pick a seed in your world of wisdom. You help people. You've got this amazing program, and I'd love you to introduce your program and to pick a seed and share something that you feel relates to that seed.
all right. Well, it's so great being here with you, Susan. And the seed that I'd like to start with is the seed of stillness.
Awesome. And what is it about that seed that speaks to you? And also, you're more than welcome to share if it connects into your work that you're offering to people as well.
Sure, sure. Um, for me, stillness is the doorway, really, to self-inquiry, right? To dropping in to the present moment, to dropping into the sensations in our bodies, and maybe dropping into our emotional state, dropping into our mental state. But when I think of stillness, it for me, I think of like a pause. So it's just like this pause where then you can reflect and maybe create some space to bring in something new. So I guess for me, stillness has a lot of possibility in it. Um, when you just, instead of being busy, kind of just like doing things like on your hamster wheel or, very routine and you're not thinking about it. To me, stillness, the pause or the stop, then creates the space for new awareness to kind of bubble up or to begin.
So the stillness for you isn't a place that you're frozen. There's
Not at
still
all.
alive. There's an aliveness in the stillness. It's not busy, is what I hear you saying, but it's not like you're frozen or afraid or shut down. There's what you're saying is there's some kind of aliveness or support. I love your word possibility in that place of stillness.
Yeah, yeah. So when you were talking, it reminded me of like for me when I teach yoga and meditation and relaxation techniques, frequently I'll use the image of a lake, right? And so as I bring people like into their body and their breath and stillness, I tell them to picture like the surface of a lake. And when you're busy and your mind's all over the place in the past and the future, worrying about things, it's like there's a lot of waves on the lake, right? The wind has whipped it up and there's a lot of kind of turbulence. But if you can just picture like the wind settling down and just things, then eventually that surface of the lake becomes mirror like, where then it can reflect everything. So I have them like picture a lake in their mind's eye, and then that lake reflecting everything around it, whether it's the blue sky or the clouds or trees, pine trees or rocks or flowers, whatever it might be, but picturing that, lake reflecting all of that and then visualizing themselves dropping into that lake like a pebble, dropping in beneath the surface, and then they connect with that place within themselves of stillness and peace and spaciousness. Like it's a real, like for me, a wonderful place to tap into that stillness. And there's as you said, an aliveness to the stillness. There's this possibility. There's again the reflective nature of it, where you're really taking things in. Again, rather than going on autopilot. You're like really taking things in and seeing things for what they are. And when you see things for what they are, then there's your place where you can change, right? Because you can't change anything if you don't really see it clearly for what it is.
So do you find then that with this practice, this lake, I'm going to call it the lake practice, that you could be anywhere at any time with anyone, and you could draw on that practice to remind and to help you bring your reference to stillness. And
Yes.
then, so what I'm hearing is that when you find, it's almost like soil, this place of stillness you're helping people find at the lake practice is like the soil. And then out of that grows what you need to do in terms of taking action.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Absolutely. Right. I mean, and I love
Great.
the soil, right? I love the soil analogy or metaphor of the soil, right? Again, in the soil, there has to be, when I think stillness and the possibility, the soil isn't frozen, it's not gripping and hard, right? There's a pliability to the soil, maybe there's some space in between all the little grains of dirt or particles, right? There needs to be some looseness, right, and some spaciousness in order for that little seed then to be planted and then watered for whatever, right? And then it starts to, like, again, break out, right, and like find little pockets in the dirt to like start to send its little roots out, right, so it can root down, and then it starts to come up, right, and then it can break through the surface of the soil. But all of that process requires stillness, but a spaciousness.
And it's beautiful because in a way, I'm learning from living here in Kentucky that I'm living 4 seasons. So as you're talking, I can see how in a way seeds are living, of course, the obvious is 4 seasons. And that's our life practice, isn't it? That sometimes we're in these winter states, and then we know we want to grow. The biggest thing is knowing that we want to grow, and then finding the ability through a practice like you're offering to then reach spring and then summer, right? And we just keep going in these cycles all the time. So what you're offering, can you just mention a moment about your program, the name of your program? Because I love your analogy of the surfer, because it's this dynamic, introspective learning and awareness for the self and taking action from that place.
Mm. Yeah, and about empowerment. And really, the program is all about self-empowerment and self-control and you self-mastery by going within. So the surfer's method is a 7-step method, and each letter stands for a twofold practice, and the practices are very aligned with yoga, the 8-limb path of yoga, and the Eightfold Path of Buddhism. But I also put a lot of other things in there, nutrition and fitness things. But basically, it takes you from stillness or surrender and survey, which that's my first piece, which encourages people to do exactly what we've just talked about, dropping into stillness, dropping into the present moment, and then having this place, this fertile place to begin again or to do things differently. But you have to do that first. And then I take them through various practices where then at the end they move toward synergize and surf, which for me is the flow state, which you can get to that flow state through many there are so many activities that can bring you there, but it starts with awareness, present moment awareness, and then it goes through practice, and then you get to this timeless place where you're doing, whether it's planting seeds, you're gardening, or you're cooking, or you're running, or you're fishing, or you're painting, or you're weaving, but you and whatever you're doing become one, and the present moment is all there is, and it's like everything else dissolves. And it's a really cool place to experience, and you can't be there every second of your day, but getting the little glimpses of it and the experience for however long it is becomes very rich and fulfilling, and brings people a lot of joy. Like, you find when you're in that place that you're just totally the dancer in the dance, the music and the musician, the horse back rider and the horse, whatever it is, but there's this just beautiful in the moment unity of purpose. And yeah, it's anyway, just really great.
Isn't it fun isn't it fun though? Like, we have, you have the surfer's method, I'm working with self seeds. It's really beautiful that there's so many different ways that we can try to offer gentle ways for people to be on a path of change. We can't do the change for anybody, but it's wonderful to meet somebody else who's being like a cheerleader for this possibility, because we have our own work to do every day. But then also it's so beautiful to be able to offer something that maybe could help somebody else as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah, in very
thank
powerful
you.
ways too, right? I mean,
Yeah.
for you, with children particularly, you know, planting these seeds of self-awareness, and the ability to go within and be more conscious. Like, if you can start kids off like that, like, these are skills that are going to serve them for the rest of their life. Because, again, if you can self-regulate, self-monitor, and be super aware, then, these kids hopefully don't get pulled down paths that aren't very aware or conscious, or maybe they feel that peer pressure. Maybe they're less susceptible to peer pressure when they're very confident in their own self and their presence and their awareness and their abilities to meet their needs. Then they're not so likely to be pulled off into other directions.
Isn't it amazing that even though we're a lot older than that now, we're still working on the same things? I know I would have benefited from having either of these programs as a young person, but then obviously it helps everybody. So thank you so much for this short sharing, and we're out here cheerleading humanity. So look forward to more and see where it all goes. If maybe you'll talk more seeds in the future. And thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, Susan. It's been awesome, and here we just continue our being Sherpas and cheerleaders for those people we can reach, and making the world a better place in our unique ways. And be well. It's been such a pleasure.